5 children vanished. No bodies were ever found. This case was never solved.
So today, we're opening up a dusty 20-year-old cold case file, and I want you right here investigating it with me. We're heading back to Fayetteville, West Virginia. The date is December 24th, 1945, Christmas Eve. Picture this, George and Jennie Sodder, this big, loving Italian-American family, they're settling in for the night. The house is warm, it's safe, and it's just filled with that chaotic holiday excitement. Some of the older kids are staying up late, while the younger 5 are tucked into bed, fast asleep upstairs. It is literally the absolute picture of domestic peace.
But then, at exactly 1 a.m., that warmth is completely, violently shattered. George and Jennie wake up in the pitch dark, choking on thick smoke. This terrifying, incredibly fast-moving fire has already swallowed the bottom floor of their home. It's blinding chaos. The parents and 4 of the older kids manage this desperate, frantic escape out into the freezing winter night. But the fire, it's just moving way too fast. 5 of the children are still trapped upstairs.
5. Maurice, who was 14, Martha, 12, Louis, 9, Jennie, 8, and little Betty, who was just 5 years old. I really want you to hold on to that number 5, because the official investigators who showed up at the smoldering ruins the very next morning, they looked George and Jennie in the eye and told them that all 5 of those kids died in the flames. But as we start pulling out the very first pieces of evidence in this file, there is a massive, glaring question that just jumps right off the page. It's kind of the foundational anomaly of this entire case. If 5 children perished in that house fire, where were the bodies? Because the truth is, the physical evidence we're about to look at tells a completely different, deeply disturbing story.
Section 1. Forensics of Ash, the missing evidence.
So the official claim was that the kids were completely cremated in the blaze. But here's the thing, George Sodder ran a trucking business. He worked with coal. The man understood fire. And his forensic logic here was just undeniable. A typical house fire simply cannot physically reach the temperatures required to completely incinerate human bone. It just doesn't happen. Think about it, a commercial crematory has to blast at over 1,600 degrees Fahrenheit for hours just to reduce a human skeleton to ash. A fast-burning wood frame house fire, it never achieves that, ever. Bone fragments always remain.
Which brings us to this absolutely glaring void in the evidence file. Searchers spent days combing through the rubble, and what do they find? No bone fragments, no teeth, absolutely no physical trace that 5 human beings died in that space. Nothing. And since there were no bodies and no physical evidence, well, no autopsies could be performed. In fact, no death certificates were even issued for years. So the absolutely crucial point here is this. We have a fire, sure, but we have absolutely zero physical proof of death. And that forces us to ask the exact same question that haunted George and Jennie for the rest of their lives. If the fire didn't take them, what did?
Section 2. Sequence of sabotage, deliberate actions.
Okay, so the first domino actually fell months before the fire even started. This unidentified salesman visited the Sodder home. He was supposedly there selling insurance, but after getting into an argument with George, he pointed directly at their fuse box and delivered this incredibly cryptic threat. He literally said, "Your house will be set on fire and your children will be destroyed." And get this, no one ever investigated this guy. He was never even identified.
Now let's look at how this timeline builds, because it's chilling. We start with that salesman's threat months prior. Then we jump to Christmas Eve. Shortly before 1 a.m., a witness actually comes forward reporting they saw someone hiding in the darkness, throwing a glowing object under the house. And then, at exactly 1 a.m., the fire ignites.
But the most disturbing part? The sheer level of sabotage that happened right when the family tried to save their kids. Step 1. George tries to call for help. The phone is dead. Investigators later proved the lines hadn't burned, they were deliberately cut before the fire even started. Step 2. George runs for his emergency ladder to reach the second-story window. It's missing. They later found it dragged away and hidden in a ditch nearby. Step 3. Desperate, he tries to start his coal trucks to pull them under the windows so he can climb up. Both of those trucks had worked perfectly just hours before. Now, neither would start. A mechanic later checked them out and found the fuel lines had been physically disconnected.
Severed lines, a hidden ladder, disabled engines. Guys, this wasn't an accident. This was a cage.
Who orchestrates a fire just to trap a family or to make sure the parents are completely helpless on the ground floor, totally unable to reach their kids upstairs?
Section 3. Suspects and sightings. Looking for motive.
So, we have to talk about motive. George Sodder was an immigrant who deeply loved his new country, and he was very outspoken. In the years leading up to the war, he had publicly and loudly criticized Benito Mussolini. Now, in a tight-knit Italian-American community where, frankly, some folks still held sympathies, and more importantly, where organized crime networks operated with very real power, well, this was a highly dangerous stance. It definitely made him enemies, the kind of enemies who had the resources to make people disappear.
And that brings us to the witness testimonies, where a pretty clear pattern starts to emerge. The very night of the fire, a woman reported seeing children looking terrified in a passing car. Later on, another woman up in New York claimed she saw kids matching the missing siblings being taken off a bus, constantly kept under guard. Down in Florida, yet another woman encountered a little girl who actively identified herself as one of the Sodder children right before she was quickly pulled away. Now, while officially unconfirmed, this isn't just one mistaken identity. It's a pattern.
This whole horrifying collection of evidence leaves us staring at a deeply chilling possibility. Were those 5 children already miles away before the first flame even caught the wood? Was the fire just a brutal, calculated distraction for a kidnapping?
Section 4. The 1967 photograph, A New Lead.
For over 2 decades, George and Jennie chased literally every single lead, and every single one went cold. Until we hit the emotional climax of this entire case. The year is 1967. 22 years have passed since the ashes cooled. Out of nowhere, an envelope arrives in the mail, no return address. Inside is a photograph of a young man who looks exactly like their son Louis would look, aged up by 2 decades. And written on the back, in this really strange notation, were these exact words. Louis Sodder, I love brother Frankie, Illowell Boys, A90132.
For the parents, this was it. This was the proof they'd been waiting for. They hired a private investigator immediately. He followed the clues from the photograph to a specific location to find this man. He packed his bags, went looking. And he was never heard from again.
I really want you to think about the gravity of that for a second. What on earth did that investigator find at the end of that trail that ultimately cost him his life?
Section 5. The Billboard of Grief. Refusing to accept.
That massive unanswered question brings us to the real emotional spine of this explainer. Ultimately, this is the story of 2 parents who absolutely refused to accept the official lie. Right outside of Fayetteville on the main highway, George and Jennie put up this massive billboard. It featured the faces of their 5 missing children, aged up to show what they might look like walking among us today. For decades, it stood there, just this heartbreaking monument to their grief, begging anyone passing by for information. George died in 1969. His heart gave out while he still fully believed they were out there. Jennie passed away 20 years later in 1989, having never stopped searching for a single day. Their surviving family kept that billboard up long after they were gone.
As we look at these final facts, I feel like I'm physically tying the string back around this case folder, but I just cannot close the case. The official records still coldly state these 5 children died in an accidental fire. But the facts remain. No bodies were ever found. There's no confirmed cause of the ignition. No culprit was ever identified for the very real, very physical sabotage. And there's never been an explanation for that photograph, or for the man who vanished trying to find its source. The evidence absolutely demands that we look past the official story.
We're at the end of the file, but this mystery is still bleeding right into the present. I want to leave you with this final, incredibly heavy thought. Put yourself in their shoes for a second. If your kids disappeared tonight, and the authorities, the whole world, told you they were dead, but you knew, looking at the evidence, that they were alive somewhere, what would you do? George and Jennie Sodder answered that exact question every single day for 50 years. The billboard on the highway is gone now, but the ashes still hide a secret. Where are the Sodder children?